You're watching the new Legends on Deck podcast with your hosts, Brian Koss and David Condi.
Hello and welcome to episode, what are we on, 3 now, of Legends on Deck, the new Legends on Deck podcast. I'm Brian Koss, senior editor at Legends on Deck, and I am here with our co-founder, David Condi. David, welcome.
What's up, Brian? How you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah,
What's that?
we escaped a little bit of some crazy storms in Florida today.
Yeah, we sure did. You guys had some bad stuff down your way, and we had warnings up in my area too.
Yeah, some crazy touchdowns, wiped out some areas. You know, you don't expect 8:30 in the morning, the alarm goes off. You're like, oh, time to jump in the bathtub.
Yeah, that's true. So, well, we escaped that. It's not even hurricane season, and we're worried about storms. So
It's always that time of the year, right? Like when you expect the most beautiful time in Florida, you least expect that something flies through like that.
That's right. So, want to open up today with some of you've got a new article out, and I guess kind of the biggest issue on the minds of pretty much every baseball fan out there is, are we going to have a season this year?
Yeah, that was something that I was talking to a buddy of mine that, played pro ball, and was asking him, I asked him a question. I said, hey, what happens with baseball lockout? Do you guys get signed? And he says, no, you have to pretty much make sure that, the teams have to get going so that this way, they can get signed ball players. So that just brought an idea to me, is that I looked up all the free agents that were still in the market who was available for teams to snatch up. And there was a bunch of them. There was some big names still out there. And then you start to think about, what about the other journeymen that are out there and still trying to get signed, and they need spring training to get going, to showcase their skills to the scouts and to the owners and to the GMs of the leagues, of the teams, So I really wanted to touch on that and just kind of put that out there, because if they don't have, I was listening to a radio station, it was MLB podcast probably like a week ago, right when I kind of wrote the article, and they touched on that, hey, they wouldn't care if spring training was kind of like blew through spring training, got everything done, didn't do anything, and then just started in the season. Guys would be ready to go. There's some guys that don't really care about spring training, they just want to play ball. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good to get going, but spring training is when you really, get warmed up, get going. And if we don't have a spring training, some of these, veterans, they can get signed in April and May, maybe June, but the journeyman can't. They haven't got in front of anybody. No one, who are they going to go play with to just get looked at? They might, but the idea is that they won't. So that's kind of the idea for the story.
Yeah, it's a great point, actually. The Stars might, they'd be willing to sit it out, get on with the season once the, blow through spring training, like you said. But it's those guys there's a lot of guys out there trying to make a team. Yeah. And they're those are the guys that it's also gonna hurt. They don't know what they're gonna do. In my opinion, spring training is the only interesting preseason in any sport.
Yeah.
There's nothing exciting about too many other preseasons. Now I know that they have to deal with every sport's got to deal with the getting the final guys on the roster, like you said, with that makes a big deal for a guy that's on the cusp of making a team. But spring training itself is like a whole different thing. It's like, I know us being in Florida, we kind of feel it on a local level, right?
Yeah, it's exciting. You get to go to the games, and we don't other than we have the Miami team, you have Tampa, the Rays in Tampa, and that's kind of a distance from me. Where you're at, kind of distance from you. You're like, your corners.
Yeah, I got to drive a couple hours either way to go to one of those games, so I don't get out there too much.
Exactly. So having a team like spring training where you can just jump to the field, take my son, take your boy, and just kind of go by the fence and watch these guys work out. I mean, you don't get that. You don't even get that in the big season. You don't get some stuff as close as we can get to them.
Exactly right. It's like an up close, personal look at the teams, right, and the players. It's like it's an intense atmosphere for those guys, the ones that are trying to make the teams that we were talking about. But for the fan, and you have people coming in from all over the country for this too. I mean, when I go to Tigers spring training games, I'm a Tigers fan, but when I go to spring training games, I'll run into people that I hadn't seen in 10 years that are in Michigan, and they'll fly in, and I've several times in the last few years that I've gone to spring training games, I've run into people that I had no idea were going to be at that ball game, and I haven't seen in a decade. But you'll run into them, and because people will travel and go to these games. You know, the same thing goes no matter what team we're talking about: Tigers, Yankees, Mets, Phillies. All the teams that are here in Florida. You get the locals get a feel for these teams, and they get attached to these teams. But also, it's the people from that are from those cities too, traveling into Florida. So it's got a big economic impact on the local communities here in Florida for sure.
You know, they I know guys that they get their families together and they plan this in the summertime, and they say, "Oh, we're going to Florida. You know, it's summer. You know, it's always hot. We're going to Florida.
Right?
Flying to spend a weekend, and they take their time off and stuff like that. And we're kind of blessed that we just got to drive down the road.
You're right. Right. No, absolutely.
But
it's a big thing. So it's the only it's such a unique preseason experience going to spring training. I'd love to even go out to Arizona one year and check that out.
And because they're all in one area. So what was that actor that did that? Will Ferrell, that he played one position in every, I think it was one day. Traveled and played one position for every team.
Right, he threw a ball, like he played a position on every team. Yeah, I saw that video. It was hilarious. So I would really be disappointed if that doesn't come together. And in my opinion, quite frankly, these players and owners, and I don't blame one specific. I'm not going to get into the real nitty gritty of the negotiations, and I'm probably not going to read too deeply into the negotiations myself. I just want it to be resolved.
Exactly.
I want it to be resolved because every time you do something like this and you go and you delay the season, nobody looks at that. Fans and especially casual fans, they don't look at that and they don't see anything positive. Mm-hmm. They see greedy owners, greedy players. And they look at their own lives and the people around them, and people are struggling, and inflation's high, and things cost a lot, and they don't have sympathy for either the players or the owners.
Exactly, and I think dragging this on, like I noted in the article, you're gonna upset the worst person you can, which is the fan, and it may not, disappear like they've done in the past when they had the strike in the past. It took them many years to come back. Yeah, and, I even touched on in COVID. These guys played in front of empty stadiums and had the fans in the 3D or on the screens, or they had the fans in the speakers. But it's not going to get to that point. But it's going to get to the point where maybe fans are just going to not. I don't have time for this.
No, you're right. There's too many things that people are doing, and there's too many things that people need to spend money on. Mm-hmm. And they're just going, it's not going to help attendance. It's not going to help viewership. It's not going to help any of those things. All the things that Major League Baseball is trying to do to make money and to bring in fans, they will lose more fans.
Exactly.
And the stadiums will be more empty. So whatever side is the right side of the argument, it doesn't really matter to me. Yeah. As long as it gets resolved and they can play the season and, people can enjoy it. So,
and the one thing I'll just say on
major mistake.
And quickly on spring training is that, I'm sure the guys are working on the side, but you still need that game action just to kind of get your body going. You can't expect to turn it on day one when the season starts. The guys still need to get their reps in. Just like, so it's not just you can just blow through spring training. Oh, we'll just start the season on day one.
No, that's a great point. it's a long season, and to get and these guys haven't played in months. And of course they're athletes. They're playing. They're training all the time, but they haven't actually played a ball game in months. So yeah, I agree. I agree. It's not something you can really skip.
Exactly.
So, all right. So we want to bring our guest in. Is that what we want to do?
Yeah, we're gonna bring in Mike Fernland. Basically, he's owner of Dynasty by Choice, player development and training program for high school ball players who want to play college. Mike's gonna kind of share the reason why we go with this route, just so our followers can know, is that Legends on Deck is not just about major league teams and minor league teams. We also want to really delve into the amateur world and who are the guys that are making a difference in that world. You have the youth ball players, you have the college ball players, but there's always someone in the background getting them to that level. And to have someone on today that's kind of, his background is into baseball, has played college ball, and now using his skills and his drive to really help the next star of the game, the next legend, we should keep saying, right? We don't know who that's going to be, but he has a direct avenue to them, and we wanted to kind of share his story and kind of let him share what's been going on with him. So we'll bring in Mike Fernland.
Great. Like you said, it kind of plays into what we're all about.
It's the doorbell, so we open the door.
See the logo. He's already branding on our show. There he is.
You're muted, Mike. Let's see. Unmute. Ask you unmute. Yep.
We got him.
There
we are.
There's my buddy.
All right.
How's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, man.
Last time you saw me, I think I had hair.
I don't know. Did you? I'm in the same boat, so.
You see, it looks better on you.
Oh man, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm out of the club. I got too much hair. I got hair everywhere.
I remember those.
Yeah. So, all right, Mike. Nice to meet you, man. Welcome to the show.
Man. My pleasure.
Yeah, welcome to the show. I've got some information from David on you, and sounds like a really interesting background. What you've been doing over the last, well, I'm going to let you do a lot of the talking about your background here. So why don't we start off? I'd like to hear, we'd love to hear more about, my understanding is that you got into college baseball as a junior college player, and then you ended up at Stetson. But I'm gonna turn back the clock even a little further. So let's start off with you as a kid. When did you start playing baseball? What leagues did you play in as a young kid and as a teenager? And then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, so I started playing baseball when I was 4, and I only remember that because the rules might have changed now, but at the time, my mother got me in a year earlier than I was supposed to be. So that kind of worked out. Played t-ball, slow pitch softball, I think was the next thing. But I loved baseball from the start. So once I started, I never stopped. I eventually did a few other sports along the way, but even in the end, before I went on to play college, I stopped playing other sports, I think my junior year of high school, just to focus on baseball because I wanted to play college. I only played on a few travel ball teams when I was in middle school. I played on the Ocala Elite, and that was a travel ball team. I might have started at maybe 10 or 11 years old, somewhere around there. And I was playing with them for probably 3 or 4 years on and off. And I guest played at a couple tournaments for another team or two, like the Ocala Thoroughbreds, I think they were called. But as far as travel baseball goes, that was the extent of it. I didn't play any travel ball in high school. Once I got to high school, I think I just kind of assumed that was the thing to do, was to play fall, spring, and summer for your high school. And eventually, if you get a chance at college, then that's where it's going to come from. I found out a little bit later that it works a little bit differently. Unfortunately for me, it's still ended up working out.
Well, that'll be something interesting to get at, because there's a lot of people wanting to know, what the best route is there. But prior to that, prior to your travel ball, local little league was that where you were
Local
playing?
little league, t-ball, softball.
Yeah.
And then I believe I played 1 year at Scott Kerrigan, which is here in Ocala. That's a great place. They put a lot of money into that place too, and it's really grown. So I love that place. I played most of my time at the Ocala Rotary, which is doubled, if not tripled, since I've played there. Now they've added so many more fields, ton of teams and players. That's probably the biggest one in Ocala. But that was really the extent of it. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So then you get to high school. You said you're playing. You drop your other sports. What other sports were you playing at the time?
Football, and I wrestled for 1 year.
Okay. David, you've been at wrestling meets all weekend, right?
I love wrestling now.
Yeah.
When I come up to the area with my son, you show him a little more pointers of what help you pin some guys.
Yeah. You learn a thing or two. You do.
Yeah.
So you get into that. So then you're dropping it, and your goal then from then on is you want to play college baseball. So you get in first. Sorry, go ahead. You're freezing up on me there.
Sorry. Yeah. I played football my freshman and my sophomore year, and I wrestled just my sophomore year. A friend of mine told me to give it a shot, so I did. And but then that was it. And I ended up speaking with a friend who was just focused on baseball, and we had kind of separated because he and his family moved to another town. And when he told me how committed he was to it and what he was trying to do, I realized, oh, cow, well, I want to play college baseball. So that's what made me ultimately decide in junior year, just baseball year round. Sure.
So at that point, then your goal from there is I want to go play at a college level. So what opportunities did you see come about? What was that decision-making process? I know you started at the junior college level, and I think a lot of people don't know how competitive junior college baseball is in Florida. I mean, it's like, it's its own thing. Like, people wouldn't think anything of it if you were in another state, probably. But here in Florida, it's a little different, right?
Yeah. I would say it's probably well misunderstood, because junior college ball it's extremely competitive. And, in Florida, we got great colleges, but we got great junior colleges all over the place. And I'm talking like decades of a reputation for being national contenders and seeing them compete. I mean, I just had this conversation with one of my underclassmen and high school athletes the other day in the batting cages. I had guys on my junior college team that immediately should have been playing pro ball, and they did 1 year and they were gone. Wow. And I had guys on my Division I team that I thought, well, these guys probably wouldn't have made my junior college team. And, my junior college team was unbelievable. It was Miami-Dade College, Kendall campus. That's the only team that they have now. But Miami-Dade College, I would guess that the numbers are still the same. But when I went there, I went to Miami-Dade 2010 to 2012. When I went there at the time, there were more Major League Baseball players out of Miami-Dade Junior College than any other 2 or 4 year college in America. That's wild. And these guys they were studs. We started with 50 guys. We were down to 24 in 3 or 4 months, and that was the team. It was competitive. Every Wednesday, if you got a phone call from the head coach, it wasn't a good lunch call.
Oh boy. Now tell me, was your decision to play at the junior college level, was that something that you pursued, or did you want to start somewhere else, and that's why you ended up going?
One of my best friends at the time, he was a sophomore in high school when he verbally committed to the University of Miami. And that's what hit me, that made me say, whoa, this is real. This happens, and anybody can kind of achieve it. He was a great athlete. He was a great ball player. But when we were little kids, there was no comparison. I mean, he and his dad would say the exact same thing. It's from an athletic standpoint, I was much more athletic. But talk about working over the years and getting better at your skill set, he did that. And it showed. He played maybe 3 varsity baseball games as a sophomore before he verbally committed to an ACC powerhouse at the time. I mean, that was unbelievable. So that happened when I was entering, I think I was in my junior year of high school when that happened. And that's what, where my decision came from. Well, okay, I'm not doing anything else. I'm just going to play baseball because that's what I want to do. But as far as where did I want to play, I didn't have an idea as to where I wanted to play. The fact that he verbally committed to UM, in my mind, immediately I went, okay, well, then I want to play Division I. And that was just because I wanted to play at UM. So I said, okay, well, then I want to play Division I at the least. He did it. I can do it. I want it. And, but man, I really didn't find myself in opportunities in my junior and senior year of high school because I didn't go out and seek them. And I didn't know any better. I was working hard. I was being consistent. I was doing things without a doubt nobody else in town was doing. I just firmly believe that. Most kids in the state, I believe it, weren't doing what I was doing to make this happen because I wanted it. But I didn't know where I would end up going or how that would even happen. In my mind, I just had faith. I just said to myself, if I work hard, I do this every day, I follow this plan, in the end, ultimately, it's going to work out for me. And I didn't actually, I graduated high school, or let's say I finished high school ball, and I went to a local junior college, Central Florida College, or College of Central Florida now. Coach invited me there. I didn't even have that great of a day there, actually. And he ended up calling me and offering me a walk-on opportunity. But where I got and that was great. I still had a chance at the very least.
Sure.
But I ended up going to another workout in Miami at Miami-Dade. And that was actually a week before my high school graduation. And I went down there. It was a single workout. I've said previously there were 60 athletes, but no joke, there had to be 85. There had to be 85 plus. The place was swarming with ball players, and it was an intimidating sight too. And I had an awesome day there, probably one of my best days. Triple, a few other base hits, stolen bags, a couple diving plays in the infield. I was an infielder at the time. And that's where I got my scholarship. It was probably 3-4 weeks after my high school baseball career, but a week before I graduated from high school. That went great. The coaches said that they wanted to bring me on and they wanted to offer me a scholarship. So I literally drove up from Miami. I was there for the night. The next day I walked graduation, and that evening I drove back down to Miami just to continue working, but I signed my letter of intent the next day. And that's how that worked. That's how that happened.
Wow. So that's pretty interesting, actually. But the one thing I'm going to go back to that you said is that you didn't know or didn't seek out other opportunities that you may have not known about at the time. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What is that? What are you getting at? Yeah,
definitely. So, all I knew is I have a chance right now to work hard. And that's what I did. And I didn't have hitting lessons or a speed coach, like the things that I do now. I didn't have those things. I ran sprints up a ditch in my neighborhood consistently all the time. I hit every single day. Those were the things that I could control. But then after that, I was just totally oblivious. And I don't know how, because when I think about it, looking back now in middle school, I played some travel ball. So it's not like I didn't know that it was there, but somehow it just didn't register in my mind that it's there in high school. And that's what I didn't seek out. I didn't play that travel baseball.
So you're saying maybe travel baseball, maybe attending. I mean, another thing that you hear about is attending camps at some of these colleges. They have different workouts that they do and camps that they hold, and that's how you get noticed.
Yes. Now and I'll put it in perspective for you. Let's say you're a college athlete. What do college athletes do over the summer? Not necessarily over the winter, because over the winter they go home, right? And they're working over the winter break too. But over the summer, it's notorious. If you're a college baseball player, you play summer collegiate baseball.
Yep.
Period. huge leagues out there. There's leagues that people would say are no-name leagues, but you play. And the coaches want to know too. When I finished my freshman year of college, they want to know, where are you playing summer baseball? So to put it in perspective for you, in college, it's like a thing that's expected of you. Where in high school, your high school coach, most of the time, probably doesn't expect that. I'm talking from my experience, of course. My high school coaches didn't necessarily expect me to do that. But when I'm in college ball, let's say when I was in junior college and I played summer collegiate baseball, well, that's where those 4-year colleges saw me. That's where I had an opportunity for them to see me. As a matter of fact, that's where Stetson found me. They found me in a small summer collegiate league. I think it was the South Florida Collegiate League. Okay. They might have had, I don't know, they might have had 6 teams at the time, not very big rosters, not a very big name collegiate league. And he didn't even go out there to look at me. He went out there to look at one of his players, just to go check on him. He was an incoming freshman going into Stetson at the time. He went to go watch him play. And in him doing that, from what I can remember in that game, that really stood out that he mentioned to me was, in my first at bat, I turned an 0-2 count into a full count, and I got a base hit. I stole a bag, and then I tracked a ball in center field. I was playing outfield in college. Center field, I tracked a ball left center gap and made the catch. Well, it turns out, and this is how things happen. This is what you earn your luck, right? This is how things happen. Turns out he had a stud center fielder going into Stetson out of nowhere, took a draft. He was, like 15th round, not bad, but they only offered the guy $100,000, which, yes, it's a lot of money. But when you're talking baseball money and incoming freshman like that, you can imagine in 3 years, he might have a bigger opportunity there as far as what he can get at the draft. It blew everybody away. Nobody was expecting it. He accepted that draft pick and that money, and he left. So just like that, Stetson was out of an outfielder, and he was going to be, their starter kind of as a freshman. That was my understanding of it. And I was a junior college transfer. I finished Miami-Dade College, and I didn't have a college to go to. Actually, it's kind of crazy when you think about that, but I verbally committed to an NAIA school the same day that evening. Stetson saw me and pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, we want you."
Wow. So you kind of stumbled across the Stetson coach kind of stumbled across you.
Yeah.
So a lot of that, I saw Stetson, and one of the things that I follow college baseball quite a bit. In fact, in the last 5 years, I've been really into college baseball. So Stetson's a really fantastic program. In fact, it's probably, I would say, top 5 program in Florida. You take your Florida State, your Miami, and then after that, maybe it's Stetson, right?
It's a pretty great program, and they got a new staff out there too. I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years after I graduated, they went on and had a super regional show. I think they lost the super regional to Louisville at the time, who had a really fantastic bullpen. And but since then, I mean, they've done great. I hear nothing but great things from the coaching staff. I'm not quite as involved as I would really love to be, but at the same time, life kind of goes on. I'm over here in Ocala now, but they've done really, really great. And when we were playing, I mean, even when I was there, we played University of Miami, Florida State, and these weren't, blowout games. When we played the University of Miami, we won from a walk-off hit. We had bases loaded. They came to us this time. We lost them the first time. And then we lost them the first time at their house by 2 runs, I believe. The second game, we had a midweek game, and we beat them with a walk-off from one of their Miami natives too, who came to Stetson. And Florida State, at the time we played them, I think they were number 2 in the nation. This might've been senior night for us too. It was a big night. I remember being real pumped up for this night. We were winning in the 7th inning. They had bases loaded, and somebody got a double down right field line, I think it was. And that's how they ended up scoring. And they beat us by 2 runs to finish the game. I mean, these are competitive games, and they play a good schedule. And that ASUN conference too. I mean, that's grown, man. It has. They've had some studs come out of there.
Yeah. I mean, with Stetson, you have, a couple major alumni with Jacob deGrom and Corey Kluber in the last, 10 years or so. and they hosted a super regional in 2018. It's a really good program. So that's kind of cool that, your goal was to play D1 ball, from earlier on. Your buddy played at Miami and you found your way into it.
Yeah, man. I'm blessed. I'm thankful for that, man, because it's just kind of, there it is.
Shot.
That guy right there, that was Kennesaw State. That guy right there was drafted, I think, in the sandwich round, right between the first and the second round, he was drafted. And we lost that game. We played that team twice. Lost them the first time by a run or two. It was the only team we lost to in that ASUN conference tournament. And then at the end of it, we lost it by one run because he hit a home run to take the lead over one run. But yeah, man, things just kind of fell into place. I tell my athletes all the time, as long as you don't quit, you just keep going. You never know what's going to happen. When, how, Absolutely. Why, it just does, man.
So get us caught up with what you've been doing since, right? So you had your career at Stetson, played ball there. What's your baseball story been post Stetson?
Sure. When I finished up at Stetson, I got an opportunity to be the graduate assistant baseball coach at Rollins College, Division II in Winter Park.
Yeah, that's not far from me.
I mean, and again, you talk about competition. I mean, that conference was unbelievable. They had some awesome ball. There were teams in that conference. I forget which conference it was now. There were teams in that conference that you could put up against any D1 school and they'll compete. So I did a year there as the graduate assistant baseball coach, and I finished up there, and I got my master's from there, which is another blessing that baseball brought me. After that, and while that was happening, I served as a head baseball coach for a new South Florida Collegiate League, and one of the teams. We got runner-up that year. That was my first coaching opportunity. The second year, I coached it as well, but I was also head of player procurement at the time. So we brought in close to or right around 100 athletes from all over the country to join that league at that time, which was really awesome. And when I finished up down south with that, that's when I moved back home here to Ocala. And my project that I've been working on now for, 4 or 5 years now, has been growing little by little. And what I'm doing now is I'm trying to do everything that I can to help guys kind of achieve those 4 more years. That's what I say in my mind. And that's kind of my vision for it too, is I want to help guys get that opportunity in college. So I do that through I do hitting lessons. I do that a little bit differently, I think. So I do hitting lessons. I work with hitters. I really specialize in the off-season training. Every year for the last 3-4 years, I've done winter and summer, anywhere from 5 to 10 week off-season training, where I take them through conditioning. I take them through a regimen of speed workouts. We work on the proper form of sprint work, and I aim at getting kids faster and stronger. I mean, I firmly believe that athletes, college athletes, I think that they're bred in the off-season. These guys in high school, they get opportunities without that kind of training, I think, because they're good and they work on their own. Absolutely. But when you get to college, it's just a totally different lifestyle where, these athletes are training hard over the winter and over the summer. And I credit a lot of my blessings we're talking about right now to my work ethic, because I wasn't the best guy on the team all the time or probably ever. I mean, when I was a kid, I was definitely very athletic. I had that athletic kind of genetic gift, if you will. But as far as skill goes, I was a pretty good ball player, but I wouldn't say that I was ever the best. But no matter where I went, I always put my 100% heart and effort into it. And I worked hard, and that showed in my hustle, and that showed in my competitiveness. And I think those things brought me along. I don't know if I would have made the team at Miami-Dade College if I didn't outwork people. And I think everybody on that team will say that. I think they'll all say that Mike Fernland was working his tail off day in and day out. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why they kept me, because that team was so good. We got down to 35 guys. They got to cut 10 or 11 more. We looked around and we're all like, well, who are they going to cut now? And then you hear the coach saying, well, somebody's going to have bad grades. Well, somebody's going to do something they shouldn't do, like steal something from a cafeteria. You have those handful of guys who are there because they're great, but they're going to get themselves out of it. And then from there, coaches say, work ethic and effort is what's going to keep you here. And I just did that every day. And I think that's what kept me there. So now in my off-season training, my goal when I work with the athletes is to communicate these things to them, because right now where they're at, so young, freshmen, sophomores, juniors in high school, and I'm starting to work with middle kids too. I think that these work habits, these characteristics, if you will, these things are instilled in us when we're young. You know, and it probably comes from our parents, of course, and how we're raised too. But as a coach, my goal, my aim is to communicate that to them and instill that in them, so that way, as they're moving on, they'll just skyrocket in their progress and in their production right now in high school, and already kind of embody what it is to be a collegiate student athlete. I think before you can be one, you first have to start thinking like one and acting like one and training like one. And when you do those things, just things come to you and these opportunities come to you. So I do my hitting lessons, my speed and agility stuff. I do some base running stuff. I'm working on a lot of at-home programs right now. I just finished up an at-home audio program, which is 45 minutes of just one-on-one, the athlete listening to my recording, and it's taking them through several steps on everything that needs to get done, from your speed training to hitting and your defensive work and your homework and going with your guidance counselor, those kinds of things, to set them up to kind of take ownership of their opportunity to play college. Kind of like reaching that kid that was like me. You know, I grew up with just my mother and I didn't know what I didn't know. But one thing I did do was, whether I realized it or not, I was committed to what I was in control of. So I'm working on building at-home programs, and that audio program is just about already done now. I'm excited to get that out there for everyone, to where these kids can take ownership of their own opportunity and get to work on it. And I just told an athlete the other day, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So if you're prepared and you're preparing, well, you keep doing that and the opportunity comes, and then you're the one who gets picked. The guy next to you is going to say, well, you got lucky. Well, preparation meets opportunity. That's how I got lucky. And I think that's the difference maker. So that's what I'm building on now. And my vision for that too is to one day, I want to find ways to actually get scholarship funds to these local kids here in Marion County. I want to find a way to fund some scholarships for any athlete who needs it. You know, I mean, I had an opportunity at Stetson where they gave me, they were offering 30% scholarship to me going into my junior year, where Stetson's a private university.
Yeah.
At the time, which it's only gone up, at the time it was $53,000 a year to go. And I had some academic money because I graduated with a good GPA from Miami-Dade. Thank God for that. But the thing that was going on at the time was, well, I can't go to Stetson on 30%. I need 38% in order to fund it. And it was, my understanding is they dipped in the next year in order to make that happen. And thank God that it did. But for those guys who have that opportunity, or say I took that walk-on at College of Central Florida, that's a walk-on. You know, I still got to pay for college and all that. So I'm hoping that for the athlete who's working hard and they have an opportunity, they can submit an application to Dynasty by Choice, and we can work on getting them a little bit of scholarship funds to help them make that happen.
That's awesome. I want to just kind of share a little bit about Mike, a little bit that I knew from when I first met Mike. I met Mike through my dad, who worked with his mom. And when I first met Mike and he told me to play baseball, and I was into baseball, I was into the writing and stuff, I'm like, wow, man, I love meeting kids that were kind of in the game and trying to, make themselves better. And everywhere Mike has, I've known Mike for a while. We talk all the time, and everywhere where Mike has gone in his life, I'm proud of him. He's done so much to better himself, to that, even to take his experiences now better the kids. Better. I even try to get him down here to a couple of my teams, but it's a kind of a distance from Ocala to Cape Coral to work with my teams. But I would tell any kid to go, because I know his journey, and his journey has been one of he's a great mentor, great leader, and someone that's really changed people's lives. So, Mike, I have a little surprise for you. We're gonna bring on somebody that you've changed their life. What you've done for them has gotten them to the next level, and at least with the mindset of going in a route that's to better themselves. So it is a little bit surprise for you, but it's all in what you've done. Where you brought yourself through, and all the experience you've had and made yourself who you are today, and what you're gonna do for these kids. You did a little bit for the gentleman too. So let me just kind of bring him in. You don't know who it is, so let me bring him in.
Dave's a good talk show host there. Yeah, this is like one of those afternoon TV shows, right?
See if he can do this. Make sure that he can figure out how to get on.
He is.
He's trying to get on. Hold on a second.
The build-up's killing me.
Yeah, it's killing me too, because I hid this as long as I could. I stayed quiet on this interview. I didn't want to like. No, he's taking forever to get in. I don't want to tell him what it is. But one quick thing till he gets in here. When I saw Mike play here in Fort Myers in the tournament with Stetson, and what Mike doesn't know is, I don't know if I ever shared with him, I was sitting behind new GM at the time, Major League Baseball, and I tapped him on the shoulder, and it happened to be Theo Epstein. And he's like, all right, what you doing? I said, oh, my buddy's playing left field. I said, you need to watch him. Yeah, I'm kind of looking for the next star, kind of see, what's out here and stuff. So I was really excited when the draft was coming. He's going to grab him. I know he's going to grab him. And unfortunately, he didn't, but that's not where where it was supposed to go. He's taking forever to get in here. Hold on a second. He's going to make me, let me put him back in the waiting room, see if he comes back on. Hold on.
So I'll jump in for a sec. So Mike, before we get him in, so most of your guys are coming right now. Most of the kids you're working with are out of the Ocala area.
That's right. Yep. I've had they've all been in Ocala. I've had one athlete who's commuted from Jacksonville a few times.
Okay, well, that's a hike.
Yeah. Yeah, a little drive. He got his work in. He went home napping.
Well, there's all over Florida, man. It's like every pocket of Florida has got baseball talent coming out from everywhere. So this is, no matter where you are in the state, it's a good place.
It really does. It's grown a lot here too. It is. It's great. Ocala is really blowing up too. We got a lot of folks moving here, and we've got more teams that are being formed. We have a new league in town. I guess they've been around for a few years. They just came on my radar now. But it's another little league facility, and
nice.
It's doing really well. So I like to see that.
Oh, very good.
Technical difficulty over here, so bear with me for a second. Sorry about that. I expected to just kind of jump right in.
All that suspense and everything, all that build up.
Yeah. Mike, give us a little bit about what you did in Miami with the collegiate league. How did that impact you, and what did you do with that?
The collegiate league. Yeah. So I started as a head coach there, and we had a team of maybe 11 to 12 kids each. But what was really awesome about this league was we took a different avenue about it. Most collegiate leagues it's a lot of games, and there's really nothing wrong with that at all. You're talking about getting 40, 50 games in, and that's awesome. Talking about
like a 2-month period, right?
Yeah, over 2 months. It's like a Major League Baseball schedule in 2 months. It's most baseball, college guys can probably ever play. It's a lot. So that's how most of them would go. And our collegiate league at the time was a player development league instead. So what was really cool about it is we had maybe 85 to 100 athletes, but we brought on some coaches. For example, we brought on my speed coach out of the Orlando area, Ernest Wiggins, Atlas speed training in Orlando. Guy was awesome. He helped me get my 60 time down from, I'd say probably a 6'6" to a 6'4", working with him over probably a 2-year span. We brought in Brad Loki, who at the time was the strength and conditioning coordinator at Stetson University. So the idea when you came down to our collegiate league was when you're down here, you're going to go through 3-4 days a week in the gym. You're going to go through 2 to 3 days a week doing speed training. I was the outfield coach at the time. So, I was the head coach of the Gamers, was the name of our team. But when we did defensive skills training, I didn't work with just the Gamers. I worked with every outfielder in the league, and we would set up different groups. So now we're getting outfield specific training. We had the same thing with infielders, same thing with catchers, pitchers. It was the same thing. So in everything we did, we tracked. When guys got down there, we tested their 60, we tested their 40, looked at velocity for pitchers. We looked at exit velocity for hitters. We were tracking all of these things. So at the end, we were able to retest it, which is awesome. I mean, you kind of can't beat that. So, and that's the same thing I take into my training today. Everything I do, I test before and I test after, so these kids can see their progress.
Nice. All right, so you're saying that's unique. That was unique to your league.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right.
Cruz.
I'm not sure if
What's
you can
going
see
on?
him. You see him?
What's up, Cruz?
Yep. I got it.
Oh man, he joined the club.
Unmute it. Dave, you got to unmute it.
Hold on. Oh, what's going on? Y'all can hear me now. What's up? What's up?
What's going on, man?
Good, man. Good, man. How you doing, man? You know, Dave said we had to surprise you a little bit, so we had to show out a little bit, man. It's good to see you again, man.
It's great to see you, man. How are you?
He keeps muting it out. You mute. That's what happens when we just start your first pod. Well, not our first one, but trying to get this going. We got little glitches here on Zoom. Might have to find another venue. It keeps going in and out.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing that. That's frustrating. Can you hear me now? We all good?
We can hear you. We just
We can
can't
hear
see
you a lot better. We just can't. Yeah, we just can't see you.
What is? Oh, man, this is nuts. I don't know where to.
But just touch. There you go. Touch a
can
little
see
bit
it.
on There you go. Brian's Dave. Dave. Brian. Brian's my man.
Brian, how you doing, man?
Good, Dave. Good to have you on. Good to have you on. That was.
Hey, share a little bit quickly on not to burn you in a rush, but what brought you to meet Mike?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, well, I was looking for a place to train at the time. Great Baseball was known as Gold Coast Collegiate League. And I was looking for a place to, take my game to the next level, to learn what it's going to take to get to that next level. And eventually I reached out to, Lorenzo Garmendia and Mike Fernland and whatnot. And I think it was like probably the spring of 2000, I want to say 15, my sophomore year of college. They came down to watch me play in Winter Haven. That's my first interaction with Mike. And just from that, man, it really showed like how much he really cared about an athlete. Like he drove, I'm not how far from Ocala from Winter Haven, but that's kind of a hike. You know what I mean? And it was nice to sit there and somebody went out of their way for me. And I was wanting to make sure that I took their time serious, and look at me now, now I'm running my own business, teaching kids, the newer generation, the correct way of hitting, with rocking with no short performance and whatnot. So I owe a lot of that to Mike. I really do. Mike and Lorenzo, man, huge, man, especially Mike, man. Like Mike was everything, man. Helped me out with a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
So that's cool. So what your facility?
That's awesome.
Can you tell us about your facility a little bit? Your training program up there. You're in New York, right?
Yes, so North Shore Performance is located in Staten Island, New York. But we're very close to our local little league called Snug Harbor. So we take on Staten Island. There's two divisions. There's like the North Shore and the South Shore. and there was no option for a lot of kids on the North Shore to have an indoor facility, somewhere they can train and to hit it with somebody with credible knowledge. So it was I inspired throughout COVID to open this. Me and my business partner Ed Rethorn, he helped me out a lot, and we just been put a lot of time and money and resources into the facility and try to just get back to the kids and whatnot, and they've been very receptive too. So it's been a blessing.
It's amazing. Like Mike, what I was touching on is, you don't know what your journey was taking you. You knew what you wanted to do, but you never understood what lives you were going to touch. And yeah, you said, like you mentioned, you brought 100 guys into the collegiate league and trained them, and who knows where all those guys went. I mean, I know Dave, he went from there to continue training to try to reach that level of pro ball. Dave played some independent league. Dave played in Belgium as well. Went out there, played some ball. Go to Belgium to play baseball, but and he would tell me, what he's doing out there and stuff. And a lot of it has to do is because he had mentors in his life that kind of get him in the right way. And you don't know what lives you touch until you kind of look back and say, wow, he's kind of followed the same path that you have. Now he's giving back to his community and trying to work with kids just to kind of get them to the next level. So that has to be applauded, because what you guys are doing, you're changing the next generation of kids that just want to stay home and play video games. You're getting them out there and, making them better. Not to say video games is bad, because I know people can be rich off of it, but you're actually giving kids an opportunity to become men. And that's kind of where I see where your training might help Dave. He was on that path already, but it just helped him to just get there with the understanding, hey, I can do it because I was trained the right way. I was shown that I can do it, and I've seen it. I've seen the transformation in him as well. So, that's kind of why I wanted to, maybe I wanted to surprise you with that, as part of this. Anyone, whoever's seen this would know that, hey, what Mike is trying to do, he's done it, at a different level, and it's been successful, as you can see. I mean, Dave may not be playing professional baseball, but Dave still has a love for it. Dave is still training for it. Dave is probably, like he said, he's probably hitting balls further than he was hitting that year at the collegiate league, and still probably training look a whole lot, better than what he did back then. But he's still using that what he learned to get the next kids to the next level. So whatever Dave accomplishes is a lot to do with you, Mike, and what you instilled in his life. So we all appreciate that too as well.
And let me just go off you, Dave. I don't mean to cut you off, Mike, but I want to go off of that because that really does mean a lot. And a lot of times in this game, it's hard to communicate the right message, whether it's on and off the field. And Mike did a tremendous job. With a couple of summers I was with him, and even just now, even just in life, just breaking things down and trying to make things simpler. And sometimes, like when you could do that for a kid and do that for any athlete, they can go a long way. And sometimes it gets a little bit too complicated, but Mike has always done an amazing job as a mentor, as a coach. He's always breaking things down and making sure that the player got it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we're a reflection of what the knowledge he's trying to pass down to us. Right. So he wants to make sure that we're doing it as correctly as possible. And that's what I bring down to my kids as well. If it's not making sense, I want to take the time to sit and break down stuff and whatnot. So I owe Mike a lot of that too as well.
Well, man, this is a pleasant surprise too. And I'll tell you guys something too. When I talk about the work ethic and drive and those kind of characteristics that are instilled in it, this guy right here has had it. He has got it. This guy worked hard every single day. And all of us already know you're going to the gym or you're going to the batting cages. You're with a group. You can only hope that there's one athlete who does this, but at the same time, that who this athlete is, the one that's asking you to keep the lights on when you're trying to go home and have dinner, because he is working. He's working hard. He doesn't want to stop. He's trying to get everything in that he can. Every swing, just another swing, another one. That was him. And that says a lot about him, his character and his work ethic. That guy works hard right there, man. I believe that you've done great things. I know you have, man. I know you have, and I know that you will. That's great, man.
I appreciate it, man. But like I said, it all goes from the teacher, man. Like when you give a student an outlet to let him just be himself and to help him grow, man, like I said, it goes a long way, man. And it's just easier to know, like even the little things in the outfield that I teach my kids now, like how to proper footwork, how to catch a fly ball. It's those little things that get so overlooked because we're so focused on everything else when we break those down, it makes the game a lot easier for them. And to watch kids now, like, just, I don't know if as coaching now, it's beautiful to watch kids slow the game down a little bit, especially at a young age. Once you teach them that, man, you can teach them anything. So.
I wish I had you guys. I wish I was younger and I had you guys a long time ago, because I would have been playing pro ball right now.
Hey, man. It can happen, man. It's all about opportunity, and that's what we guys for us, like, passing down to the next generation. Just gotta keep giving them that opportunity and giving them the right tools, because you can do a job. There's so many jobs you can do differently, and everybody's path is differently. But we always make sure that whether we're teaching everything, it's these kids have the opportunity to go to that next level, and that's all I'm about. Like I said, all that to Mike, man. A huge amount of that to Mike.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate those words, Cruz. Appreciate you, man.
You already know, man. Always.
So I know David will agree with this, but we want to make sure we get both of their businesses, linked up here on the website too. Just to, maybe we could do a little blurb on each of them, just so that people know that they're out there and what they're doing. Mike, that name that you have for it's very unique, and it's got a 5 in it. So can you explain it to us? It's so interesting that we have to know what it means.
Please, absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of pleasure and pride in it, because it's special to me. It really is. When I was just starting with the Summer Collegiate League down south, the new position of player procurement was tough. Recruiting guys from all over the country. That's not how it originally started. Okay, how it originally started was recruiting from Florida, and I didn't know any better. But I would have thought, I'll get all the athletes in Florida, no problem, right? I'll put it in perspective for you. There's over 60 colleges with baseball programs in the state of Florida. I mean, as of 2015-ish, somewhere around there, right? I drove to 54 of them, and I did that within a 3-month span. I did that, and I shook hands with every coach. I got in front of, probably of those 54, let's say I got in front of 30 of them, and I gave them a 15-minute pitch on what we're doing with the collegiate league, all that good stuff. At the end of those 3 months, I had 3 people signed up, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is not good. We're not going to have any athletes. We're not going to be able to pull off the league. What are we going to do? I'm a total failure. What do I do here? So at this time, I'm also fresh out of college, and I'm still in college, but I just graduated from Stetson, and I'm new to the business world, So at the time, I'm also big into self-development and being the best that I can and getting stuff done. So in doing that, while searching through these things, I came across an old wise man who you can find anywhere now for free. And his name was Earl Nightingale. And he had this audio program. One of the things that, now that I look back and reflect a little bit, it's one of the reasons why it's so important for me to have these at-home programs for these athletes, is you can do stuff in audio now. Well, at the time, he did a study, and that study, the conclusion of it was that out of 100 people, if you talk to 100 people and you ask them what the secret to success is, only 5 out of the 100 would know. And it was those 5 out of the 100 who knew, because they were the ones that were doing it. And what it is having a goal. That's simple, to have a goal. Out of 100 people, only 5 had a goal and were actively pursuing it. And at the end of it, not all 5 got all of their goal, but they did reach some level of success along the way. And that's kind of the point. That's the reason for the 5. And where the name comes from, Dynasty by Choice, is when you think of any organization or any team, like when I think of college baseball, I see the Florida Gators as a dynasty. That's one of the things that I see. In order to have a dynasty, a team or a program where there is a dynasty, well, yeah, you got to have good coaches who have that level, but you also got to have a good team who has that level. Where does it start? Well, it starts with me. It starts with me, the single athlete, me. So if I want to be a part of a dynasty, then I have to be dynasty first. And to be a dynasty, you have to choose to do it. It's not something that you can just go out there and do. It's not something that just kind of happens. No, you have to choose every day. When you wake up in the morning, the alarm goes off. You choose whether or not I get up or I click snooze. You choose whether or not I'm going to go to the gym. You choose if you're going to hit that extra session. You choose if you're going to do that speed work. You choose if you're going to do all these hard things. And you're the one who ultimately decides whether or not you're committing to this goal, and you're going to see it through. And no matter the result, you're going to have faith that it's going to work out. And that's what that is. Dynasty by choice. The idea behind it is number one, that's the message that I'm trying to get out to the world, and all the student athletes and here in the community of Ocala. I want to reach the masses with this, because that alone is one of the things that really took me to another level and helped me become a better version of myself. And I think that that's such an important message to try to get across. That's what all of my training is about. All the kids and athletes that are trying to go on to play college ball, they want to play pro ball or big leagues or whatever that their dream is. It could be, right now it's baseball, but by the time they graduate high school or college, it could be something else. It could be they want to be a musician or they want to be a coach. Doesn't matter what it is. But to me, the message that I'm trying to get across to people is that you have to have a goal. And in order to do it, you have to choose to do it. But when you do, you're officially a part of the top 5. And that alone, you should have security in and confidence in, because doing that, making that decision and actively doing it means that you're on your way to do it. Now, all you have to do is trust the process. When you say trust the process to a group of people, 95% of them, if not 99% of them, they don't know what that means, because they don't have a real process. They just go through the motions of what everybody's putting them through. Dynasty by choice is me sitting down saying, this is what I want to do. This is my plan of action on how I'm going to get it done. And then I'm committing to it. I'm making a dynasty decision right now to commit to that. And I'm going to do that. And in doing so, because now I'm officially a part of that top 5, I am setting myself up for success. I'm putting myself in the best position I could possibly be in. I'm taking ownership of what I want and I'm pursuing it. So guys who train with me or parents who have their kids train with me, that's what it's all about, is I'm trying to instill and communicate that to them, that if they want it, they can have it as long as they don't quit and they decide to do it. That's dynasty by choice.
Awesome.
Very cool. Great message. That's I knew there was something there. I knew there's something with that name. So there's plenty with that. There's a lot with that name. It's very good. So this is Mike Fernland's Dynasty by Choice. North Shore Performance is Dave Cruz. So if you are in Ocala, Florida, Dave and I are in Florida, but we're in different parts of the states. But if you're in Ocala area and we know people up, we'll be pushing them your way. Dynasty by Choice for baseball training. If you're in Staten Island, New York, or that general area, you want to look up Dave Cruz. And like Dave and I were saying, we'll make sure we got both of your information out there.
Yeah, we're going to share it all so everybody know what's going on. That's why we wanted to get you guys on this platform, this podcast. To really kind of, it's what you guys are doing is kind of, what we're trying to share more of, the amateur, the youth baseball, collegiate, baseball, not just Major League, minor league, because to get to that level, we have to start where you guys are at. You got to get the kids ready to get to the next level. So we're definitely going to help to get you guys out more, more sharing your information more out there. So.
Yeah, we got to get this out to all the kids, man. This was a great message for the parents and the high school age, middle school age ball players out there. So this one's got to really take off with that group. We got to get them in all those areas. So
yeah, I just dropped the video off. I'll make a CD.
Just start dropping them on. Make a CD, put on the local little leagues. Put them over the big screen, the jumbotrons. All right. Well, we're gonna have to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you all for joining us. Really cool. It was cool making that David, that magical connection that David made. Remember this person from your past, and we brought him in. So I hope that was really
awesome.
cool experience for you guys. But Legends on Deck podcast, Mike Ferlin, Dave Cruz, co-founder David Condi, me, Brian Koss, senior editor. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you guys.
All right.
Mike.